question paper of June 2024, and this is our paper one from the province of Gauteng, that is the Gauteng province. So I'm going to start by going to our instructions and information according to this question paper, whereby we are saying all the first instruction that we have is answer 4 questions as follows in the answer book. Section A is compulsory, which means we are supposed to answer every question that we have on section A. And then section B, you are given 3 questions and you are supposed to answer only 2 questions as indicated that you should answer 2 questions. So this is what we have on section B. Then section C, you are given 2 questions and you answer only 1 question. So this is what we have on section C. Then moving on to the first question that we have. It reads the various options are provided responsible answers to the following questions. Choose the correct answer and write only the letter A to D next to the question. So first question reads, economics is a social science that studies how people satisfy their numerous needs at once. We have got various responses that we are given, but the correct response that we have is limited means. So we have limited means. Remember, limited means is one of the aspects that entails economics, as we are saying, the resources that are there, the means that is being referred to are the resources, and the resources are few, that is, they are limited. So this is what we have. So we basically we are saying the resources are in small amounts that cannot meet the ones that we have. So that's what we have on first question. Then section B. Section B is econometrics deals with econometrics are basically, it is an application of statistical methods to economic data in order to give empirical content to economic relationships. So this is the explanation on econometrics. So according to the responses given, you will see that the correct response that we have is a C, applying statistics in economics. So we have C as the correct response. Moving on to number 3, the most important participant or participants in the circular flow model is or are the we are given government, workers, employers, and households. So we are going to see that the most important participant in the circular flow is households. So we have households on D. So basically, households play a crucial role in the circular flow model by contributing to the economy in several ways. So we're going to see that the households contribute in terms of consumption as they demand the goods and services, which is obviously going to determine the revenue that is going to be gained by the businesses that are producing those products. And also, the households also takes part in the labor supply. They do supply the labor that is going to be used as a resource in the manufacturing of those products. And also, the households are also engage themselves in savings, which are going to lead to investments. As we see investments are taking place in the business, they will be being initiated from households. Then also we've got the issue of taxation. As the households pay taxation, it might be in the form of the pay as you earn as they go to work. The tax that is charged on salaries and wages is pay as you earn. So it increases the revenue that is going to be collected by the government. And also, when these households buy goods and services, they also pay VAT, which is the value-added tax, which is also going to widen the base for tax revenue, which is going to be an advantage from the government point of view, as they are going to redistribute that income again. So this is what we want. Question 3. Then question 4: the basic economic problem faced by all nations is. Remember, the basic economic problem consists of 3 elements. We have got a scarcity, we have got choice, and also we have got opportunity cost. Those are the elements that we have under the basic economic problem. So according to our responses, you see that scarcity is the answer that we have, which is C, which is part of the basic economic problem. So we have got C. Then moving on to the next part of the question, it is what stage of a business cycle is associated with low interest rates and production increases? So on in this stage, we are going to see that there is a characterization of low interest rates. And if there are low interest rates, it means credit lines are now cheaper to access. So we are going to see economic activity going up. So according to the responses given, we see that this is the prosperity phase. So we have prosperity on B. And then moving on to the second part of our question, which is going to be 1.2, it reads, choose a description from column B that matches an item in column A. Write only the letter A to G next to the question number, that is 1.2.1 to 1.2.6 in the answer book. Then you are given column A, you are given column B. So the first term that we have in column A is economic efficiency. So we are supposed to look for explanation that is matching economic efficiency. But basically, economic efficiency, this is an economic state in which a resource is optimally allocated to serve each individual or entity in the best way. So according to this explanation, we try to see which one do matches that. But if you go to F, it is an optimum allocation of resources to maximize our welfare. So we have F as our correct response on 1.2.1. And moving on to 1.2.2, it is the Keynesian approach. So the Keynesian approach is basically it assesses that free markets have no self-balancing mechanism that lead to full employment. So according to the responses given again, we would want to see which explanation do match our Keynesian approach. So if you go to C, it reads assumes free markets have no self-balancing mechanisms. That is correct. So we have C on 1.2.2. So moving on to 1.2.3, we have got the product market, but the product market is a market that we have goods and services are being exchanged. So if you look, according to the results given, we go to A, it is a place where final goods and services are bought and sold. So we have A. So moving on to 1.2.4, we have got a business cycle. So which one it do matches a business cycle according to column B. So if you go to E, which reads alternating periods of expansion and contraction. So we have E as the correct response. Then we go to 1.2.5, we've got the environment. So the environment consists of the surroundings that we have describes the environment. So according to the responses are given, you would see that if you go to we can try to see in terms of responses given. If you go to G, it's saying the physical surroundings and conditions that affect people's lives. So is the environment. So we have got G as the correct response. Then moving on to 1.2.6, which is the coincident indicator. So the coincident indicator, it consists of changes which simultaneously shift in economic activity. So this is the explanation that we have for B, which reads changes simultaneously with the shift in economic activity. So we have B. So that's what we have on the matching words section. We go to the next part, which is going to be our 1.3. So 1.3 reads, give one term for each of the following descriptions. Write write only the term next to the question number 1.3.1 to 1.3.4 in the answer book. So the first sentence that we have reads, a branch of economics that focuses on the study of individual economic units at a smaller scale. So you'd see that this is a microeconomics. So we have got microeconomics describing that. Then we go to the next part, which reads that portion of income that a household does not spend. Remember, the total income that a household earns is either the income is spent or the income is saved. So it represents a savings. So we have savings. Go to 1.3.3. 1.3.3 is goods that are abundant but have no exchange value. So these are free goods. So we have free goods. 1.3.4 reads the variables that influence the business cycle but are not directly related to the normal functioning of the economy, which is going to be the exogenous. It represents the exogenous, which we have also, other section, or the external factors, also meaning the same thing. So this is what we have on our section A, which consists of a total of 20 marks, as indicated. And then I will move on to the second question that we have, which is our question 2, which is on section B now. Remember, section B, you are supposed to answer one out of the two questions that we have in section B. So the first question reads, answer the following questions. Name any two career opportunities in the economic field of study that is in the economic field of study. So we are supposed just to raise two career opportunities that are fit in the economic field of study. So we have a statistician, and we've got economists, we've got a mathematician, a lawyer, a sociologist. So these are some of the responses that we can include, and obviously we can choose two according to the requirements of the question. Then I will move on to the next part of our question, which reads, what is the benefit of using economic models? So obviously, economic models are used so that they can analyze data, and obviously the interpretations that are going to be are taken from those analysis are going to maybe to be used for future predictions of how the economy is moving. So this is what we have in terms of economic models. So we have those benefits. Benefits are mentioned in another section, whereby we are saying it explains the relationship between economic aspects, that is economic models, and it can predict what will happen when something changes. It can be used to develop economic policy. So those are the benefits of using economic models. So we move on to the next part of our question, which reads, study the information below and answer the questions that follow. Of course, we are given uh, an extract that we have there, which is a fate of humanity rests in economics, whereby it reads, the former president Thabo Mbeki, who has a degree in economics, has quoted the call of Fidel Castro for politicians to study economics. He said that political leaders should study economics to solve the problem of equity, sustainable development, and human security. Economics is the basis on which the fate of humankind depends. Depends. It is also the basis from which our struggle for equality begins. Politicians who do not want to understand or who do not want to know economics are not worthy of exercising their duty in governing, said the former president. So this is what we have in terms of the information given. So first question is, name the economic system that is associated with Fidel, that is associated with Fidel Castro. So according to information that we have in the extract, we are going to see that this is a socialist system, as it emphasizes the issue of solving the problem of equity, which is one of the main characteristics of the socialist system. Remember, a socialist system, it is a system in which every person in the community has an equal share of the various elements of production, be it elements of distribution and exchange of resources. So this is the perfect match that we have in terms of the information that we are given in the extract. So if you go to our answer section again, you'd see that we have also that mentioned as we are talking about the socialist system or the communistic system. Then we go to the next part of our question, which reads, what economic field of study would be the most appropriate for government leaders to study? What field of study would be the most appropriate for governmental leaders to study? So you see that we have public finance as one of them, macroeconomics. We can talk about development economics, international economics, and we have got various responses that we have. Remember, the question only needs you to point out one. Then we go to the Next question. Next question is going to be 2.2.3. Briefly explain the term economic system. Obviously, the term economic system explains the issue of allocation of resources as the main point, and also in terms of who makes the decisions of who to produce, to whom to produce. Also explains the economic system. So we have a brief description that we have in economic system in our other section, whereby we are saying economic system is a system of production, resource allocation, and distribution of goods and services within a society. And this question has got 2 marks. Then move on to the next one, which is saying, why is economics considered the start of choices? Remember, in economics, we've got the basic economic problem, which is to be solved, whereby we are saying it starts on scarcity, whereby when we have scarcity, we are saying we've got limited resources. So from the limited resources, producers have to make the best choices of the resources that are available. So that's why we call it the study of choices. So the study of the choices coming in are due to the basis or the existence of a scarcity that we have in the economy. So this is what we have on 2.2.4. And we try to see the explanation that we have in our other section, whereby saying economics focuses on how individuals, businesses, and societies make decisions regarding the allocation of limited resources that have alternative uses. And Alternatively, we can also include a point which reads economics explores how people make decisions in various situations where resources are limited and choices need to be made. So that's what we have on 2.2.4. So moving on to 2.2.5, how can economics be used to solve income inequality? And this is the issue of income inequality obviously can be solved by the issue of redistribution of that income, so that we have income equality being achieved. So we are saying this is our 2.2.5 and trying to see the explanation that we have. Economics help identify the factors contributing to income inequality is our first point. And also our second point, economists analyze policies aimed at reducing inequality. This includes progressive taxation, social welfare programs, and minimum wage policies. And we are talking about economics evaluates the effectiveness of redistributive policies that aim to transfer income from wealthier individuals or groups to those with lower income. So these are the explanations that you can put. We see that our question has got 4 marks. Obviously, it requires you to raise at least 2 points. Then we move on to the next part of our question, which is going to be our 2.3. So on our 2.3, it reads, start the diagram below and answer the question that follow. You are given the circular flow. So on the circular flow, we have got different participants that we have there, whereby we've got the household as a participant, businesses as a participant. We also have the government as a participant. The first question is, name the absent participant in the closed economy. Remember, in a closed economy, we do not have the foreign sector. So the foreign sector becomes the absent participant that we have. So we are saying foreign sector. Then you go to 2.3.2, identify one of the main flows in the circular flow model. Remember, the flows that we have in the circular flow model are subdivided into real flow and the money flow. So this is what we have on 2.3.2. So we are saying a monetary flow and real flow. So this is what we have. We move on to the next part. Briefly explain the term circular flow. In terms of the description of circular flow, it is the diagram indicating the flow of income, production, and expenditure in the economy. So that's the brief description that you can have in terms of circular flow. So on 2.3.4, why is the foreign sector important for economic growth? So remember, in the foreign sector, that's where we are going to have our exports taking place, whereby we are selling our goods that are being locally being produced on the foreign market. And if they are going to be demanded more, it means we are going to produce more, and this is going to increase economic activity in the local economy, which is going to lead to many positives in terms of unemployment being reduced, the gross domestic product going up, leading to economic growth. So this is what we have on 2.3.4. So we try to see, according to the explanation that we have, which is when local firms export goods and services to foreign markets, injections are made to the local economy. The foreign sector is crucial for economic growth as it opens up opportunities for trade, innovation, diversification, and the exchange of resources and ideas. So this is what we have on 2.3.4. We move on to 2.3.5, how will an increase in household spending impact the circular flow? So when there's an increase in household spending, obviously there is going to be an injection of income in the circular flow, and we're going to have more income circulating in the economy. So that's what we have, and also the spending is also going to have the businesses that are selling those products to have more revenue, which will increase also the income. So that's what we have on 2.3.5. So we are saying an increase in household spending leads to higher levels of consumption expenditure. A higher demand for goods and services are produced by firms who lead firms to produce more to meet the consumer demand. So from that point, firms can experience increased revenues from selling more goods and services. So these are some of the points that we can include. We have got other points that are also correct that we can also include on that part. Then moving on to the next question is saying distinguish between a positive and normative statement. Remember, a positive statement is a factual statement. It clearly states facts. Then a normative it depends on value judgment on someone's opinion. So that's the main difference that we can deduce between positive and normative statement. So we are going to come up with differences that we have between the two, whereby we are saying under positive statements are descriptive statements based on facts, data, and empirical evidence, whereby normative statements are subjective statements that involve opinions, value judgments, or statements about what should be or ought to be. That is what we have on that part. And then we can also come up with a second point, which reads that they are objective statements. They can be tested or verified using observation, measurement, or scientific analysis. So a positive statement is something that can be tested, and at the end of it, we can prove it correct or not correct. So this is what we, but that cannot happen on a normative statement, since we are saying it depends with an individual's opinion. So we are saying they are based on personal beliefs, preferences, or ethical considerations. To go to the next point, under positive statements, they aim to describe how the economy works, what is currently happening, or what has happened in the past. Whereas if you go to normative, we are saying they express subjective viewpoints or arguments about what is desirable or morally right or wrong in the economy. So these are the differences that we can deduce, or the discrepancies that we can deduce between the two. Then we move on to the next part of our question, which is going to be 2.5. How is economics and mathematics related? So obviously, you're going to see that economics and mathematics are strongly related, and as we are seeing that we've got calculations that take place in economic analysis. We've got the calculations for GDP, for example, when we are calculating the total market value of goods and services that are being produced in the country. It involves mathematics. So that is a clear basis of the relevance of mathematics in the existence of economics. So we go to our answer section, whereby we are saying the first point is mathematics is an essential tool in economics because it provides the framework for modeling, analyzing, and interpreting economic data and relationships. Mathematics is used to calculate totals in the economy, for example, the gross domestic product, which is the GDP, and the gross domestic income, which is the GDP. So economists also use the calculation to calculate the growth rate of the economy for a certain period of time, usually 1 year. And on the fourth point, economics and mathematics share links due to the logical nature of economic theory and the quantitative tools used to model, analyze, and understand economic trends. So these are also the correct statements that we have. We also have other statements that we can also include. And we see that this is the last question that we have on our question 2. And obviously, we need to move on to the next question, that is our question 3. Question 3 is on macroeconomics, and of course, it's got 40 marks and requires you to spend on average 35 minutes. So, question reads, answer the following questions 3.1.1. Name any 2 examples of capital goods. So, you'd see that we have got tools and machinery as the examples that we have as examples of capital goods. Then I'll move on to the next question, saying, why is the GDP of South Africa traditionally higher than the GNP? It's because the South African economy is paying more factor income to the foreigners, which the more foreign income is being paid rather than the income that they are receiving. So the income that they are receiving is less than the income that they are paying to the foreign nationals. So this is what the scenario that we have in terms of when we have got a GDP of the local economy being higher than the GNP. So this is the explanation that we have again in another section, whereby saying any country in which residents pay more factor income to foreigners than they receive from foreigners will have a gross domestic product that exceeds its gross national product. So this is the explanation that we have. And then I will move on to the next question, whereby to start the cartoon below and answer the question that follow, which is the impact of the Ukraine or Russia war on the economy. So we are given a cartoon whereby we have got one of the cartoon saying, "I am concerned about his next move." We have got Ukraine is coming from the Ukraine side, and then on the other hand we have got Russia. Then we also have a text that we have beneath that, which reads, "A bitter and bloody war in the Ukraine destroyed the country, isolated Russia further from the West, and fired economic uncertainty across the world." Then 3.2.1 reads, "Identify the section of the South African economy most affected by the Ukraine war." So we are going to see that the one that is most affected is we're talking about the export sector, the energy sector, the commodity sector also, in other sectors that we have there also are also affected. So our question only needs us to raise one according to our marks. Only 1 point is adequate in terms of our 3.2.1. Then we go to the next question, which reads, "How did commodity prices change as a result of the war?" Obviously, the commodity prices increased due to shortage of supply. Shortage of supply is what resulted from the war and finally leading to the prices to go up. So this is what we have on that part. We are saying commodity prices increased. And then on the next point, briefly explain the term foreign trade. The explanation in terms of foreign trade, we are saying the exchange of goods, services, and capital across national borders between countries is the brief description that we have in terms of foreign trade. Then we give 3.2.4, why were South African production disrupted by the war? Obviously, the production was disrupted. There are some raw materials or inputs that were imported from Russia. And since Russia was affected by the war, the South African economy was not able to get those resources, which obviously negatively affect economic activity in the local economy. So this is what we have on 3.2.4. So we are saying industries relying on imports of raw materials or components from Russia or Ukraine faced shortages. Then we move on to 3.2.5, which reads, "In which way can South Africa benefit from the trade ban on Russia?" So remember, the trade ban on Russia will obviously indicate that the raw materials or the goods that are being bought from Russia can no longer be bought by the South African economy. So in that case, there is going to be an issue of import substitution, whereby we are saying the goods that were previously bought from Russia are going to be bought from the local industries in South Africa, and at the end of the day, the demand of the products of industries that are being produced by industries in the local economy is going to increase, and those industries are going to earn more revenue, and then they activate their production capacities, so they produce more, leading to higher economic activity. We're going to see economic growth taking place also. So this is why South Africa can benefit. So we can see, according to the explanation that we have in our other section, we are saying South African commodities can serve as a substitute product for the previously imported goods from Russia, increasing the SA export market. Then this could, second point is saying this could lead to the expansion of South African industries and increase revenue from new markets. And then a ban on trade with Russia might prompt South African businesses to diversify their export destinations. So these are some of the points that we can include in terms of 3.2.5. Then we move on to the next question, which is going to be our 3.3. Start the following picture and answer the question that follow. So we've got a picture that we are given there of SA's dirty air, whereby it is Johannesburg is some of the worst air quality in the world. The city measures 2.6 times higher than the World Health Organization's guideline value. Experts say heavy reliance on coal and mining is the main cause of the city's pollution. So the first question is identify the type of pollution depicted in the picture above, but we are seeing that there's smoke that is getting into the air, which is going to lead to air pollution. So this is air pollution. The 3.3.2, what tax is levied on pollution-intensive goods called? Obviously, this is going to be the green tax. So we refer in terms of our answer section, whereby we are saying we have the green taxes, or we can call them the environmental taxes, which are the taxes that are levied on pollution-intensive goods. So yeah, that was we have on 3.3.2. Then 3.3.3 briefly explain the term environmental sustainability. So in terms of environmental sustainability, it is the ability of the environment to survive its use of economic activity. So this is a brief description that we have in terms of environmental sustainability. And then we move on to the next question, which is going to be 3.3.4. Why do developed countries contribute more to global pollution than developing countries? It's because in the developed countries, that's where we have got the modern technology that is going to produce more goods and services, and by so doing, we are going to see economic activity taking place. And whenever there is economic activity, there is more production of goods and services. And when there's more production of goods and services, there is a bigger possibility that we have of the air being polluted due to that economic activity. So this is the reason why we have developed countries contributing more to global pollution than developing countries. So in the developing countries, remember, the economic activity is low, so it means also the air pollution is going to be low. So that's what we have on that part, 3.3.4. So on 3.3.4, we can try to see what we have in terms of our 3.4. So the response is that the developed countries generally have higher levels of industrialization, advanced technology, and larger consumption patterns, leading to significant pollution levels. So this is what we have on 3.3.4. Then we move on to 3.3.5. How can education help lower pollution levels? So obviously, education is going to lead to awareness of the participants that we have in the economy. So when they are aware of the negative effects of pollution, they are also going to intervene in terms of reduction of the pollution levels. So we have also that answer section whereby we are saying education increases awareness about environmental issues such as air and water pollution. If people are aware of their environment, they are more likely to take action to reduce pollution. So also education encourages individuals to adopt eco-friendly habits in their daily lives. So these are the points that we have on 3.5. Then you go to 3.4, describe the differences between absolute and relative scarcity. So the difference that is there is on the quantity of the resources that are leading to scarcity. So we are saying on obsolete scarcity, the quantity is low of the resources. We have got low quantity of resources that cannot meet the demands. And when we have relative scarcity, we are saying the resources are there in abundance, but the businesses that are there, they do not have the income to acquire those resources. So that's the scarcity point of view that we have under relative scarcity. So relative scarcity, we are saying the resources are there, but the income to acquire those resources is not there, so it leads to relative scarcity. So 3.4, we are saying under obsolete scarcity, we are saying absolute scarcity refers to an inherent universal shortage of a resource. Absolute scarcity occurs when the available quantity of a resource is inadequate to meet the all human wants and needs. So the quality of the resource is limited and cannot be increased to meet the demands of everyone. Whereby under relative scarcity, we are saying relative scarcity occurs when goods and services are available, but you do not have the resources to acquire them. So the resources to acquire the resources to acquire the goods and services are not there, but the goods and services are there. The relative scarcity occurs due to a difference in the in the available quantity of a resource and the demand for that resource in a certain situation. So this is what we have in terms of absolute and relative scarcity. Then we go to the last part of our question, is how does the government protect consumer rights? How does the government protect the consumer rights. So we are saying governments enact and enforce laws specifically designed to protect consumers from unfair, deceptive, or fraudulent practices by businesses. So that's how the government can protect consumer rights by enacting and enforcing laws. And then a second part, these laws cover aspects such as product safety, labeling, advertising, pricing, warranties, and fair business practices. And then we talk about governments often establish regulatory bodies or agencies tasked with overseeing consumer protection. So these are some of the points that we can include under um, uh, the reason why we have the government protecting consumer rights and the ways that they use to protect consumer rights. So this is what we have on 3.5. And moving on, you see that we have got a continuation of those points that are supporting, whereby we have got a continuation of those points up to the last point, and this marks at the end of our question 3. And obviously, we need to move on to the last question that is on the essay question. On our question 5, that is our essay question. It's on macroeconomics, and it reads, discuss in detail the economic participants in the circle of law, which has got 26 marks. And also on the additional part, examine the importance of an open economy to South Africa with the 10 marks. So in terms of our essay, remember, we are supposed to start with your introduction, then you go to the main part, and then you conclude with your conclusion. So in terms of our introduction, the requirements in terms of how you can come up with your introduction, the introduction is a lower order response. A good starting point would be to define the main concept related to the question topic. So you can look for a main concept that we have in the question, and then you define it in the introduction, and that will be your introduction. Or you can try to come up with an alternative introduction that is also applicable. Then, in terms of the second point, it says do not include any part of the question in your introduction. So, very important to take notes. And then do not repeat any part of the introduction in the main body. Important to take notes. Avoid mentioning in the introduction what you are going to discuss in the body. So, this is what we have in terms of introduction. And then we go to the main body, and then you are going to finish your conclusion. So, in terms of our introduction, according to this video, we do have our question and try to see which one is the main concept that we have there in the question that we can define in the introduction. So the main concept that we have in particular is the circular flow. So in your introduction, you can come up with it with defining what is a circular flow. So this can be your introduction. So this is our introduction that we have, which reads, the circular flow model of an economy shows the workings of an economy that is open to a foreign trade. So this is the description that we have in terms of our circular flow. So from there, we go to the main part, and the main part now is on discussion in detail the economic participants in the circular flow. And you know that we have got different participants that we have in the circular flow. We can talk about households, we can talk about the businesses, we can talk about the foreign sector again, as participants in the circular flow. We can talk about the financial institutions can be also participants that we have in the circular flow. We've got the government also as a participant in the circular flow. So we have them now being analyzed participant by participant, whereby the first one that we have is the households. And remember, the households are the ones that demand the goods and services. And also, they are also the ones that supply labor to the business that are producing the goods and services. So basically, that's what we have in terms of that. Then from there, we can try to see what we have in terms of the points that are given in particular according to this video. So the points that we have in terms of households consists of an individual, a family, or a group of people that live in a home. So this is the description of the household. And then second point, basic decision-making units in the economy because they determine what should be produced. So a continuation of description of the household. And then households are owners of factors of production. They sell factors of production to the factor market to earn income. So the factors of production that are being sold to the factor market, we've got labor. The income that households receive is used to buy goods to satisfy their needs. So this is what we have on households as a as a participant in the circular flow. We've got also businesses and that are involved in the production of those goods and services. They obviously convert the raw materials into finished products. So the businesses also, we see that it also relies on the households as they purchase or buy the labor from the households. So this is what we have, and we've got various points that are describing businesses, whereby the first point reads businesses combine and transform the factors of production to produce goods and services. A basic productive sector in the it's a basic productive sector in the economy. They buy factors of production on the factor market. So these are the points that we have in terms of businesses. So we can also talk about the government. So the government also supply public goods that are not provided sufficiently by the public sector. So they take care of public resources. That is the government. So the goals of the government are economic growth, full employment, economic equity, price stability, and BOP, which is the balance of payment and exchange rate stability. So this is what we have in terms of the government as the participant. Then with that, we can see that we can also include the foreign sector as a participant, whereby saying international trade that take place across the borders of a country. When we have trade now that is taking place with international markets is foreign sector. So we know that no country can exist in isolation. Every country depends on another country in terms of maybe there are some raw materials that we do not have in the local economy. So we have to acquire them from the foreign markets. And by so doing, we are engaging in international trade, which we are also venturing into the foreign sector. So this is what we have. So they export goods and services and also import those goods and services. So the foreign sector exists so that countries can trade. So this is what we have in terms of the foreign sector. Then we go to the additional part, whereby the additional part reads, examine the importance of an open economy to South Africa. Remember, an open economy is an economy whereby it engages in international trade. It ventures into the foreign markets. That is an open economy. So the opposite is when we have a closed economy, whereby we're saying it's an economy that does not trade any goods with other countries. That is a closed economy. So the importance of an open economy is that we are going to acquire goods that we cannot produce in the local economy, because some goods we do not have the capacity to produce them, maybe due to many reasons. Maybe we do not have the inputs or the raw materials to produce those goods. So, but we can access those goods through venturing into an open economy whereby we trade with other countries. So, we can also share technology from more developed countries than our local economy. We have got technology that is there in other countries that we can access through the process of trading with those countries, which can only be done under an open economy. So these are some of the points that we can include on the additional part. So we are saying on the additional part, being an open economy allows South Africa to engage in international trade, both importing and exporting goods and services. This provides access to a broader market for South African products and opportunities for diversification. And that is the first point that we have. That international trade can stimulate economic growth by increasing market size and demand for South African products. Export-led growth can lead to increased production, job creation, and economic generation. So these are some of the points that we can include. So we have got many points there that are reinforcing the importance of having an open economy whereby we engage other countries in terms of the issue of exchange of goods and services. And there are many benefits that we can deduce from that. We are going to see also that we are going to promote the issue of foreign direct investment, whereby we are going to have other countries that are going to open their businesses in the local economy. That is foreign direct investment. So foreign direct investment is also going to increase the local economic activity, which is also going to accommodate more workers. Unemployment is going to be reduced. So one of the macroeconomic negatives that we can also see being reduced due to being an open economy. So this is what we have in terms of the importance of a local of an open economy. So we can also have an openness to the global economy, facilitating the exchange of ideas and technology. So the exchange of ideas and technology with other countries can only happen when we have an open economy, whereby we engage the issue of exchanging services with other countries. So by participating in international markets, South Africa reduces its dependence on the domestic market. This diversification helps mitigate economic risk associated with domestic economic fluctuations. So this is what we have. You've got a continuation of points that we have in terms of the internal part. Then finally, you are supposed to conclude. So the requirements in terms of your conclusion, we have them also in our question paper, whereby they're saying any higher order conclusion should include a brief summary of what has been discussed without repeating facts already mentioned. Any opinion or value judgment on the facts discussed is also correct in terms of coming up with a conclusion. Additional support information to strengthen the discussions or analysis. A contradictory viewpoint with motivation if required. So this is what we have, and this I will mark at the end of our essay as we come up with our conclusion. So this is the conclusion that we have according to our essay, which reads, while secular flow is a simplification of reality, understanding the real flows and money flows that occur in such a situation is an important foundation for understanding more complex economies. So this is the conclusion that we have, in particular according to this video. So thank you for listening, and hopefully this video was helpful. So this is a full question paper that we have that we are looking at of June 2024. So let's stay tuned for more videos to come. As for this video, I'm signing out.